Hi, and welcome to the tutorial on how to make a bow for your wreath panel. In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a panel or a strip of crocheted material that we're going to fold up to create a bow to sit on the front of your knitted all seasons Christmas wreath. This is a nice, easy tutorial, and it works up really fast, and it uses chain stitch and double crochet in a kind of ladder pattern. And so here's how you do it. So for this tutorial, you're going to need a ball of cream chunky yarn, and you're going to need your hook that goes with that. So for this one, that's a 6mm crochet hook. So to start off, what we're going to do is we're going to get some of our yarn off the ball to start. I'm going to tie ourselves a slip knot. Pop that onto the hook, tighten it up. So we begin this piece, the way we begin most pieces, we're going to chain some foundation chains. So for this tutorial, for this pattern, we need to chain 60 stitches, which is a lot, but it works up nice and quickly, so don't worry. So if you've not done a chain stitch before, a chain stitch is the basis of most crochet patterns. They're really easy, you don't need to worry about them, and I'm going to show you how to do one now. You're going to take your hook, you're going to wrap the yarn that's attached to the ball around the hook, and you're going to slowly pull that through the loop that you've made with your slip knot. So you've got another loop on the hook and a little knot that sits here. That is your first chain stitch. So I'll show you that again. You're going to yarn over, you're going to pull that yarn through the loop on the hook. So there's 2 chain stitches. Yarn over, pull it through the loop. 3 chain stitches. You're going to yarn over, pull that through the loop. And what you end up with is a little plait of V shapes. And each of those little V shapes is 1 chain stitch. So like I said, for this one you need to do 60 of those, so I'm going to go ahead and do those now. "60 chain stitches." Lovely. So step 2 in this pattern is, again, to chain 2 more stitches. So I know that sounds really similar to what we've just done, but basically what those 2 chains are going to become are the first stitch of our next row as we work back along the chains that we've just done. So if you hold on to the last chain that you've just done, just so you remember where it is, we're going to chain 2 more stitches. And essentially, when we've finished working along these rows, those are going to stand at a 90-degree angle and make that first stitch in the row. Does that make sense? Okay, so the next step is to do a double crochet in the 6th chain from the hook. Now, that sounds like a complicated thing to do, but I promise you it isn't. First job is to count back 6 chains from your hook. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then we're going to take our hook, we're going to do a double crochet. Now, if you've not done a double crochet before, again, it's a nice simple one, so don't panic. We're going to yarn over the hook, then we're going to take the hook, keeping that yarn over in place, we're going to push it through the chain that is 6 from the hook that we just found. Then we're going to scoop up the yarn, bring it back through that 6th chain. So now we've got 3 loops on the hook, and one of those loops comes through the 6th chain. Then we're going to scoop up the yarn over, we're going to bring it through 2 of those loops, then we end up with 2 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over again and put it through those 2. The next stitch is another chain. So we're just going to scoop up the wool, put it through the loop on our hook. Then we're going to skip one chain in the base and find the next chain along. That's just here. And we do another double crochet. So that's yarn over, push your hook through the chain, yarn over and pull it back through. So you've got 3 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over, pull it through 2, yarn over, pull it through 2. That's our double done. And then we're going to do another chain. Okay, and can you see what we're making? A bit of a ladder pattern. Just going to grab a bit more yarn, and then we're going to carry that all the way along to almost the end. So we've just done our chain 1. So we're going to skip 1 stitch in the chain, find the next chain. I'm going to yarn over, flip it through that chain, pick up the yarn and pull it back through. So we've got 3 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over, put it through 2. I'm going to yarn over, pull it through 2. And that's our double created. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to skip a chain in the base, find our next chain and do another double. Then we're going to chain 1, skip a chain, find the next one, yarn over, do a double crochet. Then we're going to chain 1, skip a chain, find your next chain, double crochet. Chain 1. What you're going to do is you are going to carry on like that all the way along your chain till you get to almost the end, and you should have just a couple left, and when we get there I'm going to show you what to do. So if you go back, I want you to finish doing those doubles and then single chains all the way along, okay? Okay, so when you've finished, or when you've worked all the way across your chain stitches and you've just put your last double into the 3rd chain from the end, so you've got one here, and you've just done a double crochet in your 3rd chain, then instead of doing your single chain, skipping one and going to the end, you're just going to do another double, skip one and go straight to the end. So essentially you're just missing out that single chain stitch in between. And what that will do is that will pull that little post into a bit of a diagonal, and what it will do is it will give you a nice slope to your ribbon edge. Do you see that? Okay, so when you've completed that step, we're going to chain 2 and we're going to turn our work, and all that means is we're going to turn it round so we can start to work back across our chains that we've just made. So in the next row, we're not going to work into our chain stitches, we're going to be working to what's called the chain space. And the chain space is simply the big gap between the little posts that we've just made with our double crochets. Okay, so step 2 in this pattern is essentially to do it again. So you've just done your chain 2 and turned your work. You're now going to do another double crochet, and you're going to put that in the 2nd chain space. So you're going to go in there, pick up your yarn over, through 2, through 2. Then you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to go into the next chain space with a double crochet. So you're going to yarn over to the next chain space, pick up your yarn and bring it back through. So you've got your 3 loops, just like before. Yarn over and go through 2, yarn over and go through 2. That's your double. And you're going to do a chain, then you're going to yarn over, and you're going to go into your next chain space. And you're going to yarn over and pull it back through, so you've got your 3 loops. You're going to yarn over and go through 2, yarn over, through 2. Then you're going to do a single chain. Then it's double again, so it's yarn over into your next chain space. Pick up the yarn and bring it back through. So you've got your 3 loops. Then you're going to yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, and go through 2. And then it's chain again. And what you're going to do is you're going to work that all the way along these chain spaces from the previous row until you get nearly at the end. And when you've got 2 chain spaces left, stop and look at the next instruction. Okay? Okay, so you've been doing your double crochet, chain stitch, double crochet, chain stitch in your chain spaces of your previous row, and you've now got to the point where you've only got 2 chain spaces left. And what you're going to do when you get here is you're going to do your double crochet and your chain just like before. You need to put a double crochet in that penultimate chain space, and then you're not going to do your chain. You're going to go back and you're going to do another double crochet into the next chain space along. And what that does is that's going to continue our slope of our ribbon. It's not going to be square, it's going to be slopey like a little triangle here. Okay, and that's the end of that row. So your next instruction is to chain 2, and we're going to turn our work again. And this is the final row coming up. So we've just got one more of these to do and then it's done. Okay, so for this row, just like before, we've done our chain 2 and we've turned our work, and we're going to work again into these chain spaces. So what we're going to do is we're going to yarn over, we're going to do our double crochet into the next chain space. So not this first one, we're going straight into this second one. Then we're going to do a chain, and we're going to the next one. And just like before, we're going to work that all the way along until you reach the penultimate chain space. Okay, so you've now come to the end of your 3rd row. You've been doing your double crochet, single chain for each of these ladders. And now you've come to the point where you've just got 2 chain spaces left. You've done a double crochet and a single crochet. So now you're going to do another double. You're not going to do a chain. You're going to go in and do another double in the next chain space along. So you want that little slopey stitch. There you go. And now you've finished making this, so you need to tie off your work. So to do that, you just yarn over, pull it through like a chain stitch, pull it all the way through, tighten up. You're going to grab your scissors. Ooh. Snip that off, and then you can detach it from the ball. Okay, there you go. So your next job is going to be to weave in those ends with your yarn needle. And then once you've done that, this is how you assemble it. So we're now going to turn this into a bow shape. So in order to do that, you're going to take your yarn, take your tape that you've just created, you're going to cross it over like that. You're going to fold it back the other way, so you've got sort of loop. And then all you're going to do is you're going to gather those together, turn it round, and you're going to take your yarn, pop it underneath, and you're going to tie right through the centre, right around that centre there. Pull that nice and tight, give it a double knot. Okay, so you can see it's kind of a bow shape now. It's just a bit on the messy side, but it's a bow. And then what you're going to do is just going to wrap that little short tail around, and you're going to take the long tail that's still attached to the ball of yarn here. You're going to wrap that around a fair few times. And what that's going to do is create sort of the middle tie part of your bow, just make it a little bit more stylized. Okay, so once you've got enough there, what you're going to do is you're going to wrap it around. If you just pop your finger under it, wrap it round, and snip yourself a bit of yarn off. You pop that underneath the bit you've wrapped your finger on. Just pull that tight like a knot. And then all you do is you pop a needle on the end of there and thread it through a few times and tie it off. And there is your bow. Well done.